Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith, the TB. Here are the stories making headlines just beyond the continent. And we begin in France, where a French court has banned the nation's far-right leader, Marine Le Pen, from running for public office for the next 5 years. Marine Le Pen was found guilty of embezzling public funds through a fake jobs scheme. The sanction is to come into force with immediate effect, even if an appeal is lodged. If upheld at the appeal court, the ruling could mean that Le Pen will not be able to stand for presidential election in 2027. Meanwhile, prominent European far-right leaders and even Elon Musk have expressed concerns following the French court's sentence. His lawyer confirmed that she will appeal the conviction, for embezzling public funds.
Eh bien, d'abord en indiquant que nous allons faire appel, ce qui est le premier point. Le deuxième point, c'est que je suis assez, je le dis lourdement et solennellement, assez consterné de voir que l'un des motifs qui permet pour le tribunal de retenir l'exécution provisoire est l'exercice par Madame Le Pen d'une défense. La présidente a indiqué que parce que Madame Le Pen, comme les autres prévenus, avait exercé les droits de la défense, comme par exemple demander une prescription, ce qui est quand même la base de n'importe quelle défense, de n'importe quel prévenu, eh bien, il y avait un risque de réitération ou de récidive. C'est totalement, absolument incroyable. Il y a une forme de criminalisation de la défense que je trouve, pour ma part, extrêmement scandaleuse.
Moi, ce qui a attiré mon attention en ce qui concerne l'exécution provisoire, c'est que j'ai eu le sentiment, oui, j'ai compris en tous les cas, que le tribunal avait ciblé le système de défense, le comportement à l'audience. C'est quelque chose pendant les 3 mois d'audience que nous avons eu, que nous avions relevé, où il y avait un déni systématique de ce qui s'était passé pendant ces années-là. Et j'ai l'impression que le tribunal, enfin j'ai la conviction que le tribunal a véritablement tenu compte de cette situation, de cette posture en tous les cas de déni, en disant puisque vous êtes dans le déni le plus total, eh bien moi j'estime, tribunal judiciaire de Paris, qu'il y a un risque de récidive et donc j'applique l'exécution provisoire sur la peine complémentaire d'inéligibilité. Voilà.
For more on this, I'm joined by international correspondent Afia Hagen. Afia, just tell us, how did things go so wrong for the far-right leader?
Well, absolutely. They really have gone wrong, very wrong for her today. So this morning, the judge handed down that verdict that we heard there that saw Marine Le Pen and also 20 others as well handed down the sentence. And they're accused of embezzling, European Union funds. So they employed European Union interns, but got them to do work for the far-right party National Rally, but still using those EU funds to pay them. So kind of like a fake jobs scandal, if you will. Now, shortly before the verdict was handed down, Marine Le Pen stormed out of the courtroom, clearly absolutely furious with what was happening. So she has been handed down that automatic 5-year ban. She's also been fined €100,000. She's been given a 4-year sentence. 2 years of that sentence has been suspended, and 2 years she will serve wearing an electronic tag. Now, the European Parliament's legal team have absolutely welcomed this verdict, but many European politicians have condemned it. Now, Marine Le Pen just gave an interview to French broadcaster TF1. She said that the Paris judge that delivered the guilty verdict against her was handing down a political decision, and it was all about blocking her from taking place in the presidential elections of 2027, in which she was thought to be the front runner to oust Emmanuel Macron. She says that the rule of law was totally violated. She said that she was handed this 5-year ban for participating in politics, but hadn't been provided any explanation for it. She said she will appeal, and we heard from her lawyer there as well. She says that Jordan Bardella, that's the person who's thought to be sort of stepping up to the plate to take her place, is a wonderful asset for the party, but she also said that she will not be taken out like this. She said that millions of French people believe in me. I've been fighting for you for 30 years, and that it's for the voters to decide. And she finished the interview by saying, I'm telling you tonight, I'm not demoralized like you. I'm scandalized, indignant, but this indignation, this feeling of injustice is an additional push to fight to the fight, and that fight for them. And them, she means voters. And that was the end of that interview. So Marine Le Pen, pretty furious this evening.
And what has been the reaction to her arrest and sentencing?
Well, lots of far-right leaders across Europe have been standing up for and defending her. A Dutch far-right politician, Geert Wilders, voiced shock and pledged his 100% support to Le Pen, saying that she would win an appeal and become the president of France. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban backed Le Pen as well on social media, writing "Je suis Marine," meaning "I am Marine." In Russia, in the Kremlin spokesperson said more and more European capitals are going down a path of trampling over diplomatic norms. The Italian Deputy Prime Minister Salvini said the ruling is a declaration of war by Brussels. Nigel Farage, leader of the Reform Party here in the UK, said that Marine Le Pen had been cancelled on what he described very trumped up charges.
And what now for Le Pen's party?
Well, as we said, there's Jordan Bardella, who's that young guy who's come through the party, thought to be her successor. Now, he could be the person to take over the party into the next election. But it sounds like Marine Le Pen has decided she is not done, that she will be appealing this decision, and we could see her potentially back in the party race. And we don't know how likely it is that she could win that appeal or not win that appeal, as it were. This is at the moment, very early stages. Could we see her running in 2027? It's a theory, but it's certainly not any certainty at the moment. So I think it's that the party will regroup, see how Marine Le Pen's appeal turns out, and then if they have to go to plan B of Jordan Bardella, then that's what they'll have to do for the 2027 French presidential election.
Well, only time will tell. Afia, many thanks for doing this with us. Afia Egan, our international correspondent, giving us an insight following the conviction of the far-right leader, and that's Marine Le Pen. Switch gears from France to the UK, where its Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has emphasized the urgent need for international cooperation to dismantle people smuggling organizations. He said this at a major immigration crime summit in London, where he addressed representatives from over 40 nations, highlighting that the fight against these criminal networks can only succeed through joint efforts. The two-day summit, focusing on organized immigration crime, comes as the UK grapples with rising migration numbers. Leaders from various countries gathered to discuss strategies to combat illegal immigration and strengthen border security. Starmer's message underscores the critical importance of unity in tackling the global issue of people smuggling, urging governments to collaborate and eliminate these dangerous criminal enterprises once and for all.
We can only smash these gangs once and for all if we work together. Because this evil trade, it exploits the cracks between our institutions. It pits nations against one another. It profits from our inability at the political level to come together.
Europe's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, on Monday urged Russia to show goodwill and agree on a ceasefire in Ukraine. Kallas met with the foreign ministers from France, the United Kingdom, Spain and Poland, as well as representatives from Germany, Italy and Ukraine in Madrid. The group discussed potential solutions to the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia and explored ways to strengthen security across Europe. Kallas highlighted that actions such as returning Ukrainian children deported to Russia and releasing prisoners of war could be key gestures from Russia to demonstrate goodwill. Sweden has announced a substantial military aid package worth 16 million kronor, and that's about $1.6 billion to Ukraine, marking the largest contribution from the Nordic country since Russia's invasion in 2022. The announcement made by Swedish Defense Minister Paul Johnson emphasizes the country's commitment to intensifying, expanding its support for Ukraine amid the ongoing conflict. A significant portion of the package, 9 billion kronor, will be allocated to achieving or acquiring newly produced military materials, primarily from Swedish and European defense industries based on Ukraine's specific needs. An additional 5 billion kronor will support Ukraine's defense industry and various funds. The latest aid package, which is Sweden's 19th donation, brings the total military aid to Ukraine from Sweden to approximately 80 billion kronor. As part of ongoing support, Sweden has also pledged advanced military systems, including Archer mobile artillery and CV-90 armored combat vehicles.
Och det stödpaket som vi presenterar idag, det är alltså det största hittills som vi kommer att ha donerat till Ukraina. Med det vill vi skicka budskapet nu att vi både intensifierar stödet och vi ökar det i styrka och omfattning. Och det finns starka skäl att göra detta i ljuset utav att läget i Ukraina är mycket allvarligt. Ryssland genomför offensiva operationer ut med i princip hela frontavsnittet och arbetar nu för att skaffa sig ett fördelaktigt läge. Det är Ryssland som har initiativet i kriget och vi behöver stötta Ukraina för att bryta den trenden just nu.
Belgium has been hit by a widespread general strike as workers from various sectors, including public transport, airports and healthcare, protest against the government's proposed pension reforms. The strike, led by the Christian CSC and Socialist FGDTP unions, is in response to the plan to raise the retirement age and eliminate special pension schemes for civil servants. The strike caused severe disruptions, with Belgium's main airports cancelling all outbound flights due to staff workouts. Public transportation in Brussels was also significantly affected, with metro and bus services facing delays. Workers from essential sectors, including hospital staff and waste collection, joined the strike to oppose the government's pension overhaul. The government argues that the pension reforms are necessary to address the rising cost of an aging population and a growing budget deficit.
Les clients ne peuvent pas rentrer, on essaie de les sensibiliser au maximum en communiquant pourquoi on est là. C'est pour eux aussi, c'est parce que demain c'est aussi le service qui est pris à partie. Et donc s'ils veulent avoir un service de qualité et un bon rendement, ben, forcément ils ne peuvent que nous soutenir dans cette action. Ben, le but principal, c'est de faire freiner au maximum l'économie du pays, pour démontrer au gouvernement que ce sont bien les travailleurs sur le terrain qui fait bouger tout le système économique du pays. Et sans nous, eh bien, il n'y a pas d'économie.
You're watching news now on News Central. I'll take that again. You're watching news just beyond the continent. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, there's more from outside the continent. Stay with us. And we move to America, where we begin with the question: could Donald Trump be considering a third term in the White House? The president hinted at the idea once again, this time insisting he's not joking about exploring ways to stay in office beyond the constitutional limit. For News Central, international correspondent Afia Hagen has more.
In a phone interview, President Trump refused to rule out the possibility of a third term, despite the 22nd Amendment clearly prohibiting it. The amendment, ratified in 1951, states that no one can be elected president more than twice, but Trump claims there are methods to get around that. When asked what those methods might be, he didn't offer specifics, but suggested that Vice President J.D. Vance could run in 2028 and later pass the baton back to him. Trump responded, "That's one way, but there are others." Trump has repeatedly teased the idea of serving beyond 2 terms. At a rally in Nevada, he joked about serving 3 times or 4 times, only to later clarify that he was only focused on the next 4 years. But at a Black History Month event, he again fueled speculation, asking supporters whether he should run again, prompting chants of 4 more years. So could Trump legally serve a third term? Not under current law. Some allies argue there may be a legal loophole. Conservative strategist Steve Bannon has claimed the 22nd Amendment doesn't specify that the 2 terms must be consecutive, a position that some in Trump's circle are reportedly considering. Meanwhile, Republican Congressman Andy Ogles has introduced legislation to amend the Constitution, allowing a president to serve a third non-consecutive term. His proposal would only apply to Trump, excluding 2-term past presidents like Barack Obama from running again. But changing the Constitution is an uphill battle. Amending the 22nd Amendment would require 2/3 support in both the House and the Senate, plus ratification from 3/4 of US states. Experts say it's nearly impossible. Still, the prospect of Trump pursuing another term, even after 2028, remains a hot topic. By then, he would be 82 years old, making him the oldest president ever, surpassing Joe Biden. For now, the law remains unchanged, and Trump remains firmly focused on the job at hand. But his latest remarks ensure that talk of a third term, however unlikely, won't be going away anytime soon. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
Still in North America, activist political party representatives and unions gathered in Brazil's capital to protest against granting amnesty to those convicted in the January 8, 2023 riots when Bolsonaro's supporters stormed government buildings. Amid this protest, President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva expressed his hope for justice as former president faces trial for allegedly plotting a coup to subvert the 2022 election results. Bolsonaro, who is accused of leading a criminal organization, could face over 40 years in prison if convicted. The protests and the trial have intensified political tensions, with many claiming that Bolsonaro's actions threatened Brazil's democracy. The trial could also derail the former president's hope of a political comeback in next year's elections. Still in the Americas, the indigenous movement of Ecuador has announced support for the candidacy of the leftist party Luisa González for the presidency. Now, this is a key endorsement coming 2 weeks before Ecuador's presidential election runoff. Incumbent Daniel Noboa will face off against former Assemblywoman Luisa González in the runoff scheduled for April 13th. Despite some polls indicating a possible first-round victory for Noboa in the February 9th election, both candidates earned around 44% of votes, with Noboa winning just 19,800 votes more out of the approximately 13.8 million strong electorate with 83% turnout. Whoever wins the runoff will face a National Assembly largely split between the parties headed by Noboa and González, although both fell short of a majority.
Aquí, en Tixán, la historia del Ecuador empieza a cambiarse, a tomar un nuevo rumbo. Y no estamos aquí solo para firmar un acuerdo. Estamos aquí para sellar un destino común de la patria del Ecuador. Esta unidad es una demostración de madurez política, de madurez que debemos tener los líderes que buscamos la transformación.
Similarly, Australians will go to the polls on May 3rd for general elections. This is amid high cost of living and a shortage of housing, likely weighing against the government as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's centre-left Labour Party seeks a second 3-year term. Albanese drove to Governor General Sam Mostyn's official residence on Friday to trigger the election and announce the date later at a news conference at Parliament House. The opposition leader, Peter Dutton, later launched his Conservative Coalition's campaign by promising better economic management after 29,000 small businesses had failed across Australia during 3 years with Labour in charge. And off to Asia, where Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has warned that it will forcefully retaliate if the United States or its allies bomb the Islamic Republic. This follows what appears to be a threat by the United States President Donald Trump. In an interview on Saturday, President Trump said, quote, "There will be bombing," and quote, "if Iran does not agree to a deal to curb its nuclear program." He was also reported to have threatened to punish Iran with what he called secondary tariffs. In his Eid al-Fitr message, the supreme leader assured of Iran's readiness for what he termed a strong counterattack. He warned of unspecified consequences should the United States choose a path of violence.
تهدید میکنن که شرارت خواهند کرد. البته اگر شرارتی انجام بگیره ما خیلی اطمینان نداریم. احتمال زیاد نمیدیم که از بیرون شرارتی انجام بگیره. در این منطقه فقط یک نیروی نیابتی وجود داره و اون رژیم صهیونی غاصب فاسده. رژیم صهیونیستی به نیابت از استعمارگران آتش افروزی میکنه، نسل کشی میکنه، جنایت میکنه.
And that's all we can take from beyond the continent. As back to the continent, and if you see anything out there, make sure to send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. Don't forget to tag us. You can always watch us live on DSTV channel 422 or on GoTV Now is channel 23. Find us on Star Times channel 274. Find us on Avo TV, or better yet, just stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good night.